Welcome to the Just Josh podcast.
Who the fuck is this guy? Hey, who the fuck are you? Huh? Who the fuck are you?
This whole thing is a little weird.
Never you fear, laddie buck.
Welcome into the podcast, Just Josh podcast. Today we got McAree on here. How's it going, man?
It is going wonderful. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm flattered. Like I said, I'm just shocked that anybody wants to talk to me about, what I do, but that's cool, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, the reason I wanted to have you on, more so than even your music background, but that's a big part of it, because I do want people to kind of hear from someone that's been in the business and has been doing different things and has worked with national bands. But you're just a really genuine good guy. And
I got you fooled, bud.
You're like me, where we're not big social media people,
Yeah, no, I've been super against it for a really long time, just because it sounds callous. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Not at all. Yeah.
The people that I know, we're going to talk.
Right.
We're going to text, or you're going to email me, or we're going to catch up.
Right.
The little, the minutia of this is what I ate today, or this is what I'm wearing, or this is how great my life is. I'm like, I got shit to do.
And I know your life really sucks behind all those Photoshop photos and stuff.
Right.
Well, the thing for me is that we were just talking that I live vicariously through you, in the sense of I've tried to get rid of social media so many times. I've deleted my profiles. I've deleted the company pages, but with the algorithms, and if I really, you kind of have to play the game. And if you want to get yourself out there and you want to be productive and get in front of bands, and you almost have to have it to a degree. So I'm very jealous that you have made a name for yourself, and the people that you have connected with, that you have no use for social media. You don't even need it,
I don't need it, don't want it. I can't imagine doing it. So it seems super foreign to me. And it's like a digital resume for your entire life, your entire existence.
It's
like, wow, I can't imagine that.
And there's so much drama and stuff. Like, even if I'm not involved with it, if I see two people arguing or saying stupid stuff, it affects me, and it shouldn't, it shouldn't affect me. I shouldn't give two shits. But you were in a band at one point, right? You played music.
Yeah. When I was really young,
you guys almost got signed, or did get signed, or something like that.
It was super. It was like old school hardcore kind of punk rock.
The best kind.
We got signed to this label called Ferret Records. It was out of New Jersey. We put out a couple 7-inches. We played in stores at Reptilian Records in Fells Point, and the Chop Shop, old hardcore shows.
That's cool.
Up and down in Connecticut, New York, just Pennsylvania. And I played guitar, loved it. And we recorded some albums, some 7-inches, which I had a blast doing. As I was getting through high school, I was like, man, I don't know if I can sustain this. Once I'm out of high school, I got to fucking figure out a way to make some money.
Right.
So I started bugging the guy that recorded all the albums. This guy, Drew Mazurek, phenomenal engineer and producer. And he let me start taking sessions in his studio. I mean, I bugged him. I bullshitted my way in there. I sucked. I was terrible.
That's awesome.
But he gave me some clients graciously and had me do some of the work he didn't want to do. I vacuumed. I was ordering food for bands, and I'd edit something or
paying your dues.
Yeah, paid my dues. And then from there, I moved on to Right Way Studios, which was wonderful. I was there for about 8 years, and I ended up working with a metal band from Sweden called Soilwork. Their guitar player was producing an album that I was engineering in Baltimore.
Okay.
And we just kind of hit it off. And then he was like, why don't you come up and do this album? And why don't we work on this? And we did some stuff. Finally, he invited me to do front of house for one of their tours. And oh my God, I was out of my element. I was mortified, but I was like, fuck it. I kind of have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's do or die.
Yeah, do or die. I'd be a jackass if I said no to this. And I went out and had a blast.
That's awesome.
And I was bit by the bug. That was it.
Is that something that you had to self-teach yourself through that tour, or is this something that just you researched and learned, or someone else kind of showed you the way too? I
was doing studio stuff, but I also kind of was like moonlighting at venues. I did 8x10. I worked at Sonar for a little, basically anything that had to do with audio or like made sound. I would take it. I would do it.
Right.
I did some film stuff, lied my way onto those. You know what I mean? I just said yes to literally anything. If it made noise, I would do it.
Yeah.
But yes, it's hugely different between studio, club, and venue, and then touring. And I hit all those roadblocks like a brick wall.
Yeah.
You know, like the first time I went to a venue, it was horrible.
Yeah.
I'm sure many times.
Yeah.
First time I was touring, different venues, different consoles, fucking horrible. Like I think back to it, I'm like, wow, there was crowds that had to listen to that shit that I was doing. But how I learned, you know what I mean? It's how I figured it out, and a ton of trial and error and just growth. And look, did I figure it out? No. Will I ever figure it out? Fuck no. There's always something new to learn, literally every day from every experience. I'm like, oh, all right. It's interesting. You know what I mean? I try to take something from every day. The minute I stop learning or trying to learn, I guess that's when I'll hang it up. You know what I mean?
The few tours that I've gotten to do full time have been with great bands, just like good people. They all seem to just know what's going on. It's all business. But yeah, I had a couple roadblocks where I was still learning some of the merch stuff too, and then different techniques and tricks. And I also didn't realize how, I don't want to say this and sound mean, but like fans can get pretty drunk. Yeah, fans can get pretty drunk, and then you have to deal with them, and it's almost like bartending. But so that's how you kind of got into it, and you've grown, and then you've gotten to work with some really big bands. Some of them, I think your main ones that I know you through is In This Moment, Breaking Benjamin. I've seen you do some Sum 41 stuff, and you also do Kids Bop, and then any other, Bishop Briggs. There's so many different bands that you've done either fly dates for or local stuff when they're in town. And how did that kind of come about? Was that another thing that you had to go through, and it was just a matter of building up your connections and network?
I mean, that's a really good question.
Or was there a moment you thought, okay, I not made it, but you're like, okay, I'm at the level I want to be at, and this is something I can do for a living?
Wow, that's a great question. And no is the answer. I have not ever felt like I've made it. There have been goals that I've put forth that I've hit, but it's funny. It's like once I've hit certain goals, there's another one that I want to try or I want to accomplish. And man, that's a great question. I mean, no.
Yeah.
I haven't hit a moment. You know what I mean? I haven't hit a moment where I'm like, oh, fuck.
Right.
This is it. You know what I mean? None of that. It's the hustle. I want more. Like if I've done sheds and or let's say at the beginning when I was doing like clubs and touring clubs, I remember getting to some of the bigger clubs and being like, oh shit, this is it.
Right.
And then at those clubs doing those for a while and going, you know what? I want civic centers. And then getting to civic centers for a while and being like, man, arenas would be cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then getting to arenas and being like, oh, I want amphitheaters and stadiums. Well, now, I still want to try bigger. You know what I mean? I want to see,
you want to start touring world, like around the world and stuff too, right? You've done some overseas stuff as well. I think I have a picture here. Where is this? Is this in Budapest?
Okay. That's crazy. You have that picture. That's the Z.
I did some
festival
research
in Budapest. Amazing festival. That's on an island in the middle of some river, and they convert the entire island over like 6 months into this small little city. And that's Sum 41 on stage, and then I'm in that little tent in the middle of the crowd. And they told us that aerial photo, I think, was 70-some thousand people. That was a phenomenal show.
Jesus.
But yeah, I've done a bunch of overseas stuff. some more than I would have liked, but I went to Shanghai once with an artist that will remain nameless, but it was an 18-minute performance.
Wow.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Wow.
So the overseas stuff, everyone's always like, man, you've toured the world. It's got to be amazing. You've seen all this stuff. Man, I haven't seen shit. I've seen an airplane, an airport,
Right.
a hotel, a venue that looks surprisingly like the US.
Right.
And then back home. That's it.
Yeah, it's funny because people always ask me, the first question is like, oh man, it must be so cool. You must get to do so much cool stuff and see so many cool things. And what's funny is I'm like, yeah, I see Walmarts. I see flying J's and a lot of gas stations.
Love Flying J. There was like
Yes.
2 years where I was the Flying J pizza critic.
Yes. How good is that pizza?
The showers at Flying J's, when I realized that the truck drivers and bus drivers, when they fueled, were getting free showers. Once I learned that, I was like, yo, give me your showers. That's on my dime. Not my dime, but like,
yeah.
It's on the client's dime.
Right.
We're all coming in to shower. I love those. Those were
yes. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, and I understand why they think that, but yeah, it's a job. I mean, and a lot of the bands I've worked for, Ballyhoo, they've been doing this for 17 years, where I can't say enough nice things about those guys. They gave me my start, helped me kind of get my foot wet, and are just great guys too. Again, that's why I have you on here. That's why I want to have my friend Nick on here from Hit the Lights. Just, I'm very lucky. I've met a lot of genuine good people, and they're one of them. But they've done this stuff so long that they're not going and stopping at the Grand Canyon. They're not going and seeing the world's biggest rubber band. They've done all that stuff. So at this point, it's really just, a matter of making sure you're on top of your game.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the way I look at touring in the industry today, like the days of those big album sales and, massive paychecks from your music,
it's crazy,
is not really there anymore. So the last place for bands to really take their talent out and make income is the touring world.
Mm-hmm.
So as a crew member, if you're not out there to fucking work, you're going to get cut.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like, when people are like, oh, you tour, it must be a party all the time. It must be so fun. Motherfucker, we're here to earn.
Yes.
And if we don't, we're going to get replaced by someone who will. You know what I mean? So
that's why I love merch, is when it brings the business aspect, and that's what I have my degrees in. But also, you get the merch percent, and I love making my own money. I love being able to control the fact that if I work my ass off, I'm going to make more money than I normally would. And I don't know exact figures, but I guarantee there were times where I made more than the TM and some of the techs and stuff like that, depending on, depending 100%. On the night, for sure.
There was a couple tours I did where we incentivized the merch to try and push it with some of the sellers, where it's like, you got 5% uncapped or whatever, 2.5% uncapped.
Wow.
And
it's a lot.
Holy fuck. In a night, we were like, what? You made how much? Like,
right.
But that's the hustle. You know what I mean? Like, they were on it. So I think it's, it's a great spot to like post up on Hustle Hard Boulevard and like show the client what you can do and earn,
Yeah. So with you starting with sound engineering, but you're also a TM, is that something that was a natural transition? Was it something you also had to learn? And then also kind of a follow-up, do you think being able to wear two hats, being able to do sound engineering, and then also being able to make sure that everyone else is doing their job has gotten you more opportunities than maybe if you were just a sound engineer?
That's a great question. I started as an audio engineer, and one of my clients, it's such a weird story, but so if you remember the band that I was in, when I was really young, when I said we got signed, it was this little label out of Jersey.
Right.
Cut to later in my career, I was working for this band, Born of Osiris, and they were signed to the same guy who ran the label I was on when I was a kid, and we ran into each other at the first show I worked for them. And he was like, oh, you're responsible and somewhat have your shit together more than the band does. The band, they were wonderful guys, but they were young. They were like 18 when I was working for them.
Right.
So he's like, you're going to be the tour manager too. Can you add and subtract? I'm like, yeah. Is that it?
Yeah.
So that kind of thrust me into learning on the fly, like show settlements, percentage splits, expenses, everything down to just auditing every receipt of the day. And I kind of just fell into it of like, all right, I guess I'm doing this now too. Whatever, bring it. And I do think it helps with the marketing of a person when you can be one bunk space, but 2 roles, or sometimes even 3. I mean, it's getting tight the way people want to run tours.
Yes.
So 1 bunk is money.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
2 bunks, more money.
Right.
So if you can be one and covering multiple positions to a client, you look, maybe you have a little more value. Maybe they don't think you have less experience, but you have more value because you take up less space and can do more shit. So I think it has been beneficial, you know, throughout my career, that I'm willing to do TM, PM, front of house, or just PM front of house, or just TM front of house, whatever they need. I'm like, yeah, whatever, let's do it. Shit, I was a lighting guy on a Protest the Hero tour, a stage tech lighting guy. And they hired me, and I was like, look, I knew their tour manager. I was like, I have never done lights in my entire life. He goes, I know, and your pay will reflect that. I was like, okay, thanks. But it was fun. I mean, there pretty much wouldn't be something I would say, nah, I won't do that.
Yeah.
You know, like, sure, fuck it, let's try it. Let's go. Let's have fun. Let's make some money. Let's experience some live music. And
same. I'm very open to doing anything. I'd love the tech. I'd love the TM and stuff like that. But you do kind of have to. What I was going to say is, because our TM, the TM I work for, Alex, who's Ballyhoo's TM, I have so much respect for what he does. Because like you said, he wears 3 or 4 hats. He really does. The only thing he doesn't specifically do is merch and sound, because he physically can't be at 2 places at one time while he's teching. If not, they probably would have him do everything. I think if I was able to just do 2 things, like tour manage and merch, or, you know, keep the business side while, you know, the main sound guy was in charge of the techs and I was in charge of everything and stuff, and it split it up that way, I think that's a really good way to work things. But again, it comes down to space, and especially if you don't have a bus. You know, a lot of us don't have it. We'll have a van or a Sprinter. Sometimes you're lucky in a Sprinter you can get bunks. Like we had bunks in our Sprinter, but most people don't. So you almost have to have multiple hats these days in order. And I think you don't have to, but I think it does help to a degree. Like you said, marketing yourself at least.
Yeah. It opens you up too, where it's like, you know, certain tours are hiring, oh, this one needs, you know, guitar techs or a drum tech or, you know, monitor engineer. And then, oh shit, we have to find someone who can do both because of the budget, because this guy's not available or whatever. And I try to tell, you know, guys that I work with, like, they see it all go down. They know what needs to be done. If they had to do it, they could. There's guys that I've had the pleasure of working with that are just phenomenal techs, some backline guys, dear friends of mine who are just so skilled, but they know everything that needs to happen. If they had to get thrust into it, I know they would rise to it. You know what I mean? It's really just, if you're willing to fucking just go out there and say what needs to be done.
Right.
And you just go put your head down and do it to the best of your ability. I think, shit, that's all I ever hope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For anyone, it's just put your head down and try to do the best you can with whatever hand you're dealt, you know?
I've always thought that it starts from the top, obviously with the band, but then, you know, a tour manager setting the environment and being level keeled and making sure that they're creating that space. You know, it's almost like a mentor or a big brother that, you know, I feel like the TM should be looking out. And speaking of that, I don't think you would ever say this just because you're not the type of guy, but I think I saw on Ashley's Instagram that you donated a kidney to someone else. And I don't mean to put you on the spot if you feel uncomfortable talking about this or anything. I just think that even more goes to show the type of person you are, because it wasn't like it was your own crew. It was, I think it was Scott, and he works for Godsmack. Was it Godsmack?
He does exactly what I do. So we've known each other for probably like 7 or 8 years now. And he's the PM front of house for Godsmack. And we met when I was TM front of house for In This Moment. And then we just kind of hit it off. We were kind of the same personality. He's a Boston hard ass, just like quintessential, like, you fucking cocksucker, do it right. You know what I mean? Just that kind of guy.
Yeah.
But we hit it off. We were doing some show and it was in an arena. I don't remember where. He might remember, but I mixed in this moment and I walked away from the show like, man, that fucking sucked. God damn it. That sounded like shit. Fuck, I could have done better. Blah, blah, blah. And then Godsmack went on and I was watching and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then the show ended and he was doing the same thing. He was at the console going, that fucking show is fucking terrible. It sucked. This is fucking bullshit. Fuck.
Yes.
And I was like, we started chatting and then we just kind of hit it off as friends. And I was out doing a Breaking Ben show, some festival where Godsmack was playing and we were hanging out and he just seemed off or just kind of like down. I was like, what's going on? Why do you seem so shitty? And he was like, my wife put something on Facebook. You can go check it out. I was like, yeah, I don't fuck with Facebook.
Right.
What is it?
Just
so
tell
he
me.
sent it to me. Yeah, just tell me like a normal person. But so he sent me this post and it was all about he needed a kidney. I was like, holy shit, man, you should have said something. You know, I wish I had known. I don't even know what blood type I am, but when I get home, maybe I'll check my blood type. And he goes, yeah, whatever. And then we started this joke. I was like, how fucking funny would it be if I was a match for you? My kidney gets put in you and then your mixes are fucking terrible. Like how funny would it be if like after that happened, your shit sucked? And we kind of were like, we joked about that for a while, but then the tour ended. I went home and went to my GP and was like, hey, I just need to know what my blood type is. And it turned out I was the match. So I was like, I just kind of blindly was like, oh, I'll just email the hospital and say, hey, I'm a match. And 8 months later, I'm in Boston with my wife and getting ready to go under the knife and swap it out.
We were talking about the coronavirus, so we might as well get into that. What are some of the things that you're doing for other TMs or maybe other people out there that are going through the same thing that say they might not have the same reach as you, but maybe the ideas behind you were talking about how you're just keeping in contact with everyone and networking, and the network that you've already established, you're kind of just bouncing ideas and trying to figure out ways to help each other out. What are some of the things that, you know, other TMs or other crew members can do right now to kind of get them through this?
I mean, I'm definitely staying in touch with as many of like the road guys as I can, the people that are like family to me. And look, we're all leaning on each other. There's days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm fucked. This is fucked. It's all on fire. We're fucked.
Right.
And it takes a buddy of mine to talk me off the ledge and be like, all right, this too shall pass. And there's other days where I'm doing the same thing for another buddy. You know what I mean? We're all just trying to like lean on each other, talk about the positives. You know, what do we hear? What do we see? Who's doing shows or who's thinking they're going to do shows? You know, and people are trying to come up with options.
Yeah.
There's the buddy that I donated the kidney to, he's up in Boston and they figured out a way to do, it's like, I think it's cover bands, but it's putting music out there on an outdoor stage with regimented parking lots in these massive parking lots where they can do like one car. And then you get out of that car and you hang in the next parking space. Then they park a car next to it. And then that family gets out to the right. And then they skip a space behind it. And it lets this outdoor thing happen where they do like 2 shows a day. And it doesn't matter how many people in the car. It's just per car.
Right.
Just trying to like come up with options. And it's, you know, a bunch of people putting their heads together. And, you know, they did, the Dropkick Murphys did a live stream, you know.
That was so good. That was a great one.
That was the buddy that I gave the kidney to set that thing up.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Awesome.
So he like kind of broke the barrier of like, everyone was like kind of going, oh shit. Yeah. Everything is collapsing.
Right.
And then Dropkick Murphys is getting 150,000 live streams.
Wow.
And people are digging it. And it helped their crew get work. And it kind of just made people go, oh shit. There is stuff we can do. You know what I mean? There is like still an outlet because wherever the music is going to be, people are going to grab it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a comfort for people. So it's just, we're trying to stay positive and lean on our friends and, hope for the best, cross our fucking fingers.
Yeah. And do you think because of this moving forward, because let's say they do stuff like that, I mean, they're still talking about venues being at like 25% or something like that, which is crazy to me because it's, how are you going to make money off that? There's no way.
You know what? You're right. There is no way.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see a large restructuring of what touring is going to look like after this. And
right.
I say after this, if there is an after this, it may just be this is now.
Yeah.
And figure it the fuck out.
Right.
So, production's going to change. The amount you can bring is going to change. The amount you can pay an artist to be in a room. If you can only put 25% of that amphitheater's capacity or that venue's capacity,
that's crazy.
You can't staff as many bartenders. You can't put up as much audio and lighting as you want. You just can't do it fully unless people start accepting some of the burden. Vendors have to lower their prices.
Yes.
Staff has to agree to like, okay, maybe we'll work for a little less, but fuck, we're working. You know what I mean? It's going to take a community vibe and like a, all hands on deck approach to kind of push some life back into what is now, an industry that's literally on life support of like grants and unemployment and, just trying to stay afloat, so it's going to take a village.
And it's unfortunate because I think this is one of the industries that need it the most.
Yeah. There are programs out right now that I have a list of them that I can text to you.
Sure.
Where it's, I think Music Cares has some stuff through Live Nation.
Okay. Yes. Right.
Getting this funding. There's a bunch of like, I don't want to misquote, but I know there's crew programs, and a couple of buddies that I work with have gotten approved for what are considered these grants.
Right.
Now it's like $1,000.
Right.
It's something to try to help in whatever way they can. Now, something else is there's the grant forgiveness stuff where like, if you run your own company that relies solely on 1099 independent contractor employees, you can apply for a grant that if you then prove you used it to pay your employees, you don't have to pay it back.
Right.
Now, that sketches me out because there's no money that's free.
No.
But there are companies that are trying, and there's funding available, but it's few and far between, and it runs out fast.
Yes.
So if you want, I have it somewhere. I can forward it to you.
Yeah, I'll put it up on our website and on the Instagram stuff so people can check it out too if they need.
Like I don't know the validity of all the programs. It was sent to me early on, but it's basically like a bunch of TM buddies all kind of compiled a list of like, hey, check these out. They may work for you, they may not. But yeah, anybody that's in the touring industry that's like struggling or in the just the music industry period, venues in Baltimore, or that, they were doing stagehand work, my heart goes out to everybody who's struggling right now. And, we're all just trying to figure out how we're going to get back to earning.
Right.
And that gets back to the whole, it takes a village. Like we all got to lean on each other, because being the behind the scenes portion of music, majority of the public just thinks that show just happened. Right. And then they left and went home and got in their cars and were like, that was fucking cool.
The 2-3 hours they were there. And,
the 60-person crew and the 10 semi trucks or the van and the trailer and guys that are exhausted, grinding it out, loading their own gear. You know what I mean? Like they don't know that part behind it. So yeah, I think it was one of the forgotten portions of like that government side, but knowing that unemployment's open now to 1099 employees, not just W-2. I think that's a nod to like, independent contractors. They might not really understand that they're helping the touring or the venue or just the music people, but I think it is a resource.
Right.
Can help, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's tough.
For sure. And do you think it also affects how we go forward with music? Like, do you think this is the next, like how we used to have physical copies, but now with how everything going on, we used to tour, but maybe we can't tour as much. So I see a lot of live streams and a lot of the other stuff that's going on, but to me, I know it's not going to replace touring. You can never replace live music and being in a venue and seeing the band. But maybe instead of like if they have a month off and they can't tour because of restrictions or other things, instead of spending the money on gas and getting a hotel for 2 weekend runs, you know, just to make the extra whatever, could bands start doing donated live streams? Because you got to think, not only are they going to get maybe the 200 people that would come out for a small show, they're going to get multiple people in different cities. And usually, I mean, you're going to have some that are just going to watch for free, but I think most fans, if you love the band, will at least donate a couple bucks, $5.
Yeah.
It's going straight to the band so they can use maybe that one live stream to take care of the 2 weekend shows that they were going to do.
Yeah, it's possible. And like nothing is beyond the concept. Like when recorded music turned into streaming, and it turned the recording industry on its ear and literally changed the entire way humanity consumes music, and the iPod and Steve Jobs and everything that like shifted the world. This could be a new portion of that shift, albeit devastating and horrible that it's on the heels of a pandemic, but this could be exposing a new profitable or not profitable, or who knows, way that people consume what comforts them. And I think, you know, getting that music recorded and then also performed with humanity, that's never going to go away. But what you said, the media in which they consume it, 100%, man. This could be the death rattle of touring.
Yeah.
That instills massive panic in me. But hey, man, you know, we'll roll with it.
Yeah.
We'll learn a new part of our trade and figure out some new cool shit and run with it. You know what I mean? But I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I think the next big technology, now what I've been trying to work on, and this has been going on like 2 years now, 2.5 years, is an app. And as a manager, I never want a band to think, well, where's my money? Or this guy's stealing money or anything like that. So I figured the best way to just erase all that is to create an app. Now, I know they have like...
Man, you're fucking crazy putting this out on your podcast. You got $1 million idea. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And you're putting this out on your podcast. Holy shit.
So...
I know. Yeah, that's genius.
The reason I am not worried about it is because someone can take the idea, and I'm sure people will, especially after I release it. At the same time, my app is specific to me.
Fuck, can I live in your pool house? Personally, like when I was at Bourbon Street, I was doing front of house, and I did PM for a little while. And that is really where I learned, like, man, these production managers and tour managers that come in here fucking screaming and yelling the minute they land, I'm like,
yeah, no.
That's where I learned, like, if I ever do that side of it, I don't ever want to be like that. So
right.
It goes more into somewhat of the new school of like, man, you catch more bees with honey. I'm going to respect the people that I work with, and I'm going to respect the people at the venue and build a relationship, because I'm going to see that motherfucker again.
Yep.
Like, we'll be back.
Right.
And if I'm shitty to someone, or if I'm disrespectful to someone, what framework am I making? What foundation am I making?
Yeah.
So it's that vibe of like everyone working together for, I know it sounds kind of like hippie and crunchy, but
no,
we're all working for the common goal of like, I don't care what your role is.
Right.
If you're the production manager, the front house guy, the backline tech, you're doing merch. There's one job. The job is to put on the best show for the crowd you can, and give your best to the artist so they can just go up there and perform their show without any other worries. And there is no other job that's more important than the next.
Right.
It's a linear batch of people who have assembled because they love music. And again, it's fucking kind of crunchy and hippie, but it's, you know, they're there for that common goal of having people leave happy. And, you know, whatever, I'm going off on a tangent, but
no, it's perfect.
I like to surround myself or have the pleasure of working alongside of people that are like-minded like that. Like, that share those same goals. You know, I'm not knocking anybody's style, but
Right.
if you're out there to tear it up every night and you're just waiting to get the show done so you can start partying, man, I don't really feel like hanging out with you. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm
good
surprised how
conversation.
many of those people I run into too. Yeah.
They still exist for sure.
And I
that's
keep seeing them
fine.
getting jobs, and I'm like, how are you getting jobs? And I can barely, find work sometimes,
Yeah,
even
that's a
with
tough
smaller
one.
bands. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? Look, there's no one way to do it. It's
Right.
just I couldn't do it that way.
No,
I'm not
me
built
either.
to party like that much.
Right.
I couldn't. So I like to be with like-minded people to the best of my ability. I don't judge what anybody wants to do, but
No.
like I said, I'm out there to earn
Yes.
and to do right by the client and
Mhm.
not fuck with my name.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a rewarding industry for sure. There's nothing like playing on stage and playing music, and I was adopted, so my parents started me playing. It's really it's gonna sound really racist because it kind of is, but my dad, my parent, I'm adopted. Me and my
Right.
sister are Asian. My family's white, and so I played the piano, and my sister played the violin. So we probably picked the two most Asian instruments, and that's really how I got my start. And then I learned from piano. If you take a
Right.
piano and you put it upright, the whole notes, half notes, white keys, black keys, it's the same thing as a guitar. So that's how
Playing
I
guitar.
learned guitar and playing drums and stuff. And my dad's
and the
70.
guitar, the
Yeah, the
fucking beautiful
guitar.
instrument, the guitar.
Oh my goodness. Pacifier is a great band. If you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. They're kind of in the reggae scene, but they're heavy, which is great.
Yeah.
But they're just so creative. And Mike, he can play guitar, keys, and he has the guitar, and he rips that thing. I've
So
seen
wait,
a lot of. Go ahead.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
What are the 5 albums or artists that are in your rotation this week or the last 2 weeks? What's your go-to?
It's funny because I'm old. I'm still stuck in the 90s. I listen to classic music.
Stand
90s.
by. Define old.
I'm 35, turning.
Motherfucker.
I'm old for younger people, if that makes sense. I feel young.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
I
You're
feel
an old
young.
soul
Yeah.
for 35.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm at that weird age where I still feel young. I feel like I'm 23. I'm not even close. Like, to me, 60 is still young. There's so much stuff, but to 20-year-olds, I'm old. And then to like 40-year-olds or even some 30-year-olds, I'm too old or I'm too young. I don't know. So you're kind of at that awkward in between stage. But to answer your question, 5 albums that are on my rotation, it sucks because I actually don't listen to a lot of music right now. But
man.
I know, and it's because I don't listen to any new music. It's all 90s stuff. But A Day to Remember is a big one for me. They're just one of the. I think they're a heavier Blink, and I've always been that. I even got into a little pop punk, but really just the NoFX and different stuff like that, and the metalcore. 311.
I love NoFX when I was growing up. White Trash, Two Heaves, and a Bean was a fucking. I love that album, yeah.
And what I love to hate Fat Mike too, because like sometimes he says some ridiculous shit, but then at the same time I'm like, you can't get mad at him. He definitely plays up his reputation to a degree. But so A Day to Remember. Actually, let me look at my wall back here. Obviously, I'm a big 311 fan.
Which I love 311. So Day to Remember, 311. Keep going.
I don't think people realize how heavy they are. They get heavy. They've played a couple of those metal shows where they just pump up their set list. Incubus is a big one I'm still into.
You know what? I just actually replayed. I've played their whole new album, and then I went back and played the one with the grenade on the front, and it's got the song "Dig" on it. It was after all their hit stuff.
Yeah, it's not Make Yourself, is it? It's the one after that, right?
Grenades. Wasn't it? Light Grenades.
Oh, Light Grenades. Yes. Okay. Yeah. With I think
Phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah. So cool tour story. The last tour I went on, we were playing Kansas City, and we happened to have a day off. And before I knew I was going on the tour, I had spent a lot of money on these Incubus tickets. They were like $300 or something crazy like that. And it just happened that the day the concert was on was one of our off days. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm really pushing this. And I wouldn't do it for any other band, but I knew it was going to be okay because our TM was leaving to go to a wedding, and I was going to be back before anyone even knew I was gone, so it wasn't really going to affect anything. So we get done with the show that night. we pack a quick bag. Me and my TM go to the hotel for like 2 hours. We get like 2 hours of sleep. We go to the hotel. So I fly from Kansas City to New York City, and it's my first time at Radio City. So I was super stoked about that. Yeah. And it was 20 years of Make Yourself. So they did the album from front to back, Incubus. And it was.
You saw that at Radio City?
Yes. It was.
You caught a flight for that? That's awesome.
Yeah. That's one of the cool stories I get to tell. And I don't regret any of it. It was worth every single penny I spent. My friend Andrea came up, and she came up from Maryland, and so we got to hang out and see the show, and she's awesome. And then literally after the show, I went back to the airport, flew back to Colorado, and was at the venue like 5 hours before the band got there. And just,
dude, that's hustle. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, so that was kind of cool. So Incubus, 311, what was the other one? A Day to Remember.
Oh, Day to Remember, Incubus, 311.
Coheed and Cambria is a huge one for me. Avenged Sevenfold is one of the old school bands that I still listen to, so that's 5 there. I mostly listen to metalcore and heavy rock.
Works, that's a fucking great one.
Oh my god, those guys are great. I do love that.
They recorded a bunch of albums when I worked at Right Way.
Yep.
And man, watching them cut a record, I was just like, wow.
They crush it still. They're one of my favorite bands to see live. They opened for Ballyhoo a few times.
Grasp of like the groove, the pocket. They know where the fuck it is. They found it and they hang on to it. They're like, "Here, we got it right here.
Yep,
we're good." Like when we play, we have the groove by the fucking balls. And
yes,
I love that band. I haven't seen them live in a long time, but their albums are great. And I think I did a couple shows. They played it. 1 or 2 at the 8x10 or Wrecker, maybe we recorded something, or a live album at the Wrecker. I don't know. Great band. Sorry.
I missed the Wrecker, dude. I can't believe they turned that into an EDM club and thought it was going to last. Like, as soon as they did it, I was like, are you kidding me? I knew within a year or 2 it was going to be nothing again. And they were going to have issues there.
Clutch at the Wrecker. I remember Works at the Wrecker. I remember... who else? I had so many fun experiences in my youth at the Wrecker, and yeah, I remember I drove by it recently, and I was like, "Nah, moment of silence. That's a bummer."
The first show we ever played wasn't like a bar or anything; it was the Wrecker, and I remember just being like, "I can't believe we're playing at the Wrecker," you know. Dude, and we actually sold it out to a degree. I know we opened, but the show, who did we play with? I can't remember. I have to ask my buddy Kevin.
That feeling. I remember the first time I did a show where I was working behind the stage at the Wrecker. And I remember, I love that feeling of being like, man, there's been so much history here like, on this stage that helped shape what I think about music. You know, again, like Clutch on that stage, Jimmy's Chicken Shack at the Wrecker, like Jaw Works, like just bands constantly coming through there and just great memories of that place. That's a bummer.
And some big bands, because I remember, I don't know if you remember backstage. Now I know they painted over it and changed it up at one point. It used to be that really shitty like hallway. It was gross. There was like water on the ground.
Of that shithole hallway. And then I did a show later on where they built that big back room that went all the way out to the street.
Yes. Yep.
And I was like, well, we have arrived, motherfuckers. Yeah. Like this is the shit. But honestly, my fondest memories are of the shitty backstage.
Yes.
I just love that one. I don't know why.
So when we did it, I remember the reason I bring that up is every band used to sign their name on the wall. Mm-hmm. And so being 13 and signing my name next to like Newfound Glory, and like even Dave Matthews Band had signed their name. I can't believe they fit all those guys on the stage, but yeah, there were some big bands for how small a place that was. And it was a staple. It sucks. It really does, because I see the trends in music and I get it, but I mean, I think even EDM isn't as popular. I know there's a lot of DJs still, and there's a lot of other things, but to me, there's nothing like music, you know?
What bums me out is like, I wonder how many bands are in their mom and dad's basement at 14 right now playing. And I hope there's a ton, you know what I mean? That's what I did. And I can't imagine not having younger kids do that same thing and like aspire to play the Wrecker or whatever the club is now. I don't know what it is, but
the thing that sucks is that I grew up in an age where I've always been a plug and play guy. Always. Like even now I would need a sound guy to do some pretty difficult stuff, or if I wanted to get a certain tone or something like that. But I've always been a plug and play guy, and I feel like I kind of missed out, and I wish I had sound in my pocket. Like I wish I had that on my resume that I could do, because I think I would have a much better shot at doing certain things. But yeah, the technology has just boomed where like my nephews, no, it's not. And you know what? I would love any help I can get from you on the side. We'll talk about that later for sure. But
yeah, come hang out.
I honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better guest and have more fun. Honestly, I could do this for like hours with you, man. But
I appreciate that. I'm flattered because it like I said, it's crazy that I don't know. Anyone would be interested to hear what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Normally it's like, all right, shut up.
I'm just like one of those types of people too. Like my goal is to TM. My goal is to do other things as well, manage bands. So how do you do that? By bringing people on that know more than you do. You know, bringing people on that have had experience and you know, do this for a living. And again, know what, though?
Hold on, let me clarify.
Yeah.
By you saying bringing people on that know more than you do is implying that I know more than you do, which is false.
I don't know. As far as the tour side and the TM, I think it's a no-brainer there. I don't know about the whole rest of the world, but these days, dude, I really am not in touch with things. I'm not as smart. I was a smart little Asian kid, and now I'm like, dude, I was hungry. I used to take apart my little cassette players and like my stereos. I would take them apart and then rebuild them. You know, just without even knowing, just because I'm interested.
You've done that. Now you do that on a grander scale. Like, look behind you. Look at what you're doing right now. Look at what you've built. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, kudos to you. Like, a lot of people would think about doing it and then wouldn't put themselves out there like that. Like, and you said, fuck it. No, this is what I'm doing. And you're doing it. Not many people can say that. So, you know, I applaud you for, you know, having the balls to take risks and take chances.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying, man. It's definitely difficult because I think one of the best advice Howie, he's the lead singer from Ballyhoo, gave me was like it was to the effect of don't be fake or don't pretend to be something you're not. And that's why I don't even like to put myself out there. You know, that's why I don't like to, because I see people do it all the time and it just comes off as grandiose and just, you know, they seem like total douchebags. And I'm like, I told you earlier, I'm a behind the scenes guy. That's why I like managing. I like being crew. Now I would love, if I could find the right guys that got it, understood touring and knew how hard it was and we meshed, I would love to play music again. But I think, you know, with my degrees and stuff, I have a lot to offer. And I think what got me into it as well is I specifically like working with new or independent artists that are just starting, or maybe they had some success, but then they got dropped and now they're looking for something different.
Right.
Because that's when it's the hardest. You know, I could hop on with any band that, you know, had a good following and was consistently touring and stuff, and it would be easy to tour manage or even easy to manage them because you already have something to work with. So now it's just a matter of what's the best way of doing it and giving them options. But when you're working with a brand new band that really just doesn't get it, it's hard, it's tough. And I know there's a lot of stigma about managers because there's a lot of people that will take advantage of you, you know, this in the service industry and industries like that, you don't need a degree to be higher up or to have some say or to break into the industry. And I see a lot of promoter wannabe managers, and I hate to say that because I hope no one thinks I'm talking about them, but I just mean like people that started working with bands, you know, or booking them shows at a local level, and then the bands just say, "Oh, he's bringing money into our pocket. He'd be a great manager," you know. But you know, but he's never read a finance. And I see actually right behind me. Hold on. I have all my accounting books, you know, and all my stuff. And there was actually one point where my buddy Steve was working for SOJA, and I remember he left, and I actually had hit them up about getting on there. Trent. I'm just seeing Trent's comments. He's like 7 Dust. So I guess we left them out. Me.
And I'm texting him too. Dude, just solid operator. That dude. Just I'd go into battle with him any day. Just phenomenal, dude.
Yeah. Awesome. We should have him on here as well, all three of us, and just chat it up too.
We might need to start like an old guy band. You know what I mean?
I'm down, man. I'm down. We know enough people. I'm sure we could at least open for some bands. You
Trent
know?
on stage, you know what I mean? You and I supporting him. He's the front man. I think we got a winning combo right there.
Yeah,
know
you
what I
on
mean?
guitar, me on drums. We need a bass player. Can Trent play bass? Trent, you play bass? It's
I
gonna take
mean,
forever for them to respond.
those hands just need to be wrapped around a microphone,
That's
and he
true.
needs to just be swooning and crooning.
Yes.
We'll find a bass player, but I think we
Yeah.
just put a band together.
I think we did. We should just hire a touring bassist though, so we don't have to pay him as much though. Just with the times and everything.
Yeah, flat fee, no
Yeah,
percentage.
no, flat P. Yeah, please. What were we talking about before that? Oh, I had the opportunity to so I knew that he was leaving. So now I was talking to him. I was like, well, I just threw it out there. I did what you did. I didn't bullshit, but I figured, look, if I reach out to him, say, hey, look, my buddy worked for you. I know he's left. I would love to learn the ropes and do whatever you guys need. And that's basically what I put out there, not thinking that they were actually going to hit me back. I thought like, just throw it out there. The worst that's going to happen. And it was right when I was finishing school. So I was like a semester or two away from graduating. Yeah. And what I did is I didn't hit up the band, I don't think. I think I hit up their management, Red Light, I think at the time, if they're still with them. I'm not sure. I remember I reached out to them, and then I actually got an email back saying, hey, we love what you said, and we'd love to have you on, or can you send a resume out? Yeah, I was so close to finishing. I was sitting there, and I was struggling. I struggled for like
all right, so here's
2 weeks. Like,
did you say no?
Yeah, I said no.
Go.
I know.
That was like a knife in the heart.
Yeah. So, my parents were paying for it, and I just didn't want to do it, and I actually never hit them back. And then they sent me another email like, hey, you're blowing your shot. And it just guilt tripped me even more. He's like, if you're really serious about this, send us your resume because we'd like to talk. And I kind of blew him off. And I regret it on one hand because by the time I was done college and ready to go full time, there weren't a lot of available things. I was kind of part-time or like the backup guy. I noticed that at my age, what I would have been good at, like I feel like if I was 23 or 24 and I was working for them, they'd love me. They'd be like, oh, you're great and stuff. But then when you're older, you're like the little things start to hurt you because you're like, oh, come on, man. This is like common sense to me. Let's chill here. Let's be cool. Let's get the job done. And so it did get at points where I was frustrated. And to be honest, I wasn't always perfect. But not that I was bad per se, but at the same time, it's like in my own head, I was getting frustrated and I was getting upset, and I don't hide my face very. I have a fuck you face. There's nothing I can do about it. My face is always just one thing. People are like, I'll be staying at a concert like this, watching the show, and be completely happy and just enjoying it. And someone will be like, what's wrong, dude? You want to talk? And that just annoys me. But anyway, so I blew my chance to try and learn from a bigger band. And I feel like if I would have taken that opportunity, on one hand, maybe I would have been farther along now. But then at the same time, I don't, as far as that side of things. But if I didn't do that, maybe I wouldn't have been able to start the podcast. Maybe I wouldn't have been able to start EUM Music Group and do a lot of the other things that, I have, because I do have a business sense, deep down. It's just a matter of on tour, if I was in charge of crew in the sense of being able to set the tone and the environment and being able to take stress off of other people so that they can just do their jobs, and then, I can take the brunt of it and be, the bad guy if I have to. It's a lot easier, a lot less stressful.
You made the right decision for yourself.
And I did.
Don't let my reaction just influence how you feel about it, because fuck what I think. You made the right decision for you. Good on you. But I also believe in don't plan anything else. Yeah. Don't do anything else. Take it. Go take it. You want to do it? Go take it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think you're doing it way smarter than most. You're getting your degree. You know what I mean? You're versed in many, many different facets of the business, accounting. You've handled merch before. You know what production is. You've seen how it all happens. Mm-hmm. You are making yourself, like I said, you're determining your own value. Yeah, for sure. Next time this comes up, fuck yeah. Yeah. You can do literally all of it. Yeah. So I think, it's great. You're going to be super prepared. And I mean, I'd rather be well-rounded and above average at a lot of different things than be like super good at one thing. You know what I mean? Well
I've
played,
always
sir.
liked
I would
that.
have to say I agree with you on that. I
Yeah.
am average at a lot of things.
Yeah.
So together it makes maybe one decent
We shouldn't
guy.
put that
You know what I
out
mean?
there. We're supposed to keep that stuff to ourselves, but
I know,
so we
right?
have better value on the market.
Yeah, I sometimes forget that like my face is fucking horrifying. I look like a piece of shit when I am just focused on something.
Yeah.
I look angry.
Yeah,
Or, like,
me
I
too.
look mean. And yeah, if I've ever seemed that way to you, please, I hope you've never taken offense or, you know, but when I'm working, I'm like super focused and task oriented to an annoying level to where my wife is like, oh, can we just have fun? And I'm like, ugh.
I've never once taken anything like that. But
Okay,
that's also
good.
because I know. You know, I think maybe if I didn't know, maybe to fans, because I know I've had some fans complain about me. I've had people complain about me. It happens. You're not going to please everyone. You do your best to, you know, be as nice as you can and polite. But I can't help what other people say or do. I can only help what I do, you know, and I've had instances where it's just one-sided and it affected what I was doing. And I'm just like, yeah, I did everything in my power to squash it. And it wasn't even an issue for me. But you know, you can get upset, but then you can learn from it and then you move on too. So, but anyway, I just, I've never taken it that way. And you've been so gracious and so nice to me. I really appreciate it.
And this has honestly been really therapeutic and a nice
Cool.
outlet for me.
Awesome.
So I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
And just this, you know, damn, I don't remember last time I had a 2-hour conversation, but just this 2-hour conversation has been really nice and cathartic for me in a time where shit's really fucking crazy.
It is. It is.
It's nice to reminisce about some of the things that, you know, got me into this business and some of the things that got you into this business. And it's a really nice exchange. And I think you're doing just a great show, a great format, and a whole lot of fun, man. I really appreciate your time, and I would be honored to do this again anytime.
Cool.
You feel like talking to me, as long as your listeners aren't like, man, fuck that guy. I'd be happy to come on.